questo è Impostori, Rockstar. It's the fake Rockstar chat show. Sono il tuo capo, io sono. I'm your chief, Gihareh. Alright. This is the Graffiti Jungle. This is the Face of Rockstar Chat Show. This is Chief Gihareh. Welcome to the Graffiti Jungle. We're going to be talking about Cowboy Bebop, session 23. 23. That's how you say 23 in Italian. 23. Brain scratch. Let's get the poll going. And then just keeping a couple of edits. Have everything here. Super chats. Thank you for super chats. Thank you for Cash App donations. And thank you for live stream gifts. If you would like to join the channel, link is in the description box. If you would like to donate to the Cash App, that link's to the description box. If you're interested in Cowboy Bebop shirts I have designed, that link is in the description box. If you want to see more recaps, that link is the playlist for the Cowboy Bebop is in the description box. And to see all of the recaps, you're going to have to be a member of the channel. And that link is also in the description box. Let me link the last short to this live stream. All right, let's do this. We got a lot to go through. Let me just try to... There's a couple things I'm gonna see, like, of course, what it made me think, what did it make me think about? And again, this is a show that came out in '98. Is it aging well? You know what I'm saying? How well did it age for its time, for the time that it came out, and things like that, bro. Also, before I whatchamacallit, it was a couple things that like I kind of saw in here, and I was looking at, it was this other little Reddit conversation that popped up, and I think they mentioned something about, I'm not sure, like, because Cowboy Bebop has a lore, right? It has this like history, whatever, and I don't know everything about it, but it's like, all right, but you'll hear this or see this. So one of the things is that it only has 26 sessions, right? Of the original Cowboy Bebop, it only has 26 sessions. Now, I went to see if anybody had, saw or agreed or anything with how I interpreted session 22. But one thing that I saw was that had talked about the show being canceled, right? Or for whatever, like there's something that there's something legitimately that maybe kind of sort of happened for why it no longer continued, right? So that was something I read. And then it was, also in this session, session 23, it was the show Big Shot, right? So my anime crush right now is the girl Judy on that show, right? And so they, at one point, now mind you, this is session 23. Cowboy Bebop only has 26 sessions. So one of the things on Big Shot is like, that's something I like, enjoy and starting to watch the show. I'm like, oh snap, you know what I'm saying? Like they watch TV on their show as well. And so I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, yo, like, so but you don't see it every session. I caught myself. I didn't say that. Yeah. Every session, you don't always see it, right? You don't always see that with the show. And so seeing on now, it's like, all right, we're watching the show is on, and it he says it. He was like, this is our last show. Show is getting canceled. And I'm like, but it's like you also know that one of the histories and the lores of the show is that Cowboy Bebop got canceled. And why and this and the third is those types of things. So it's like, it's one of those like, and this is why I don't like hearing or seeing other stuff before I start to whatchamacallit. This is why I don't like to see, read, or just whatever, look at certain stuff before I whatchamacallit, because then that can kind of influence and you whatchamacallit. Because it again, there are certain things that a show might say, and it could say it, and you may or may not take it as true, right? Or you may not, you just thinking, oh, I'm just watching this show, I'm just this and the third. It don't really mean anything, right? This again, this is one of those shows that however you decide to take it is how you decide to take it. Now, this is one of those whatchamacallits. This show talks about this. Now, some of like synchronicities and this and the third, but pay attention to I've been talking about, right? Now, I just made a shirt that says it's called Blurred Lines. A cult and a religion. What's the difference? Right? Uh, being spontaneous and irrational. What's the difference? Being like I have a shirt that says some of this stuff, right? In words that will, depending on your context and how you're looking at it and how you view it, that will it's a thin line between certain things. So I have a shirt that, come on, bro. I have a shirt that talks about this, right? I have a shirt that kind of like mentions like it being a blurred thin line between, certain things, right? Certain things. Was it a gang, a fraternity, group, organization, right? All of those and stuff like that. It's a thin line, blurry line. So that's something I have been mentioning, right? And so this session starts off with just flipping through the television. They're just flipping through different channels, right? So definitely wanted the second season, but then again they ended it so well. I don't think it was going to be about season 2. I don't know. I'm gonna see how I feel later this week because I gotta, what I'm saying, we getting there. But let's go ahead and we'll get into this. I'm gonna mention a lot of different things because there are some things that, again, this came out in '98, and if you see now, I'm gonna just let that one. Let's see. It came out in '98, and now if you see what's been going on now, it is, you be like, oh, you see what I'm saying? Again, it came out in '98. Yeah, I started like a couple weeks ago, and so I'm just going through it. I've been, making T-shirts, and it's just like I'm just been looking at the art, what I'm saying, studying it, critiquing it, reacting to it. All right, so let's get into this one. This one, I think there's some things to unpack and sit here and talk about. And again, like as a show that was a cartoon in the late '90s, and there were like people who had cable and they could just watch this or whatever, right? But me as an adult having an entirely different lens as I'm sitting here going through watching this. So I have a lot from this one, but like I said, it starts off, which I thought was kind of cool. It starts off with Spike flipping through the channels. So, channel 95, right? Now, one of the things about with Spike flipping through these channels right now is the fact that everybody's talking about it. Like, he'll flip through the channel, this one talking about it. Flip through the channel, this one talking about it. So he's flipping through the channels and everybody's kind of like talking about the same thing. Now, the one thing, again, I'm gonna like the things that came to my mind, right, as I'm sitting here, whatchamacallit. I didn't know, I don't know what anonymous is. Anon, ANON, that little thing. But if you've been on the internet and social media long enough, you've seen or heard anon, right? Right? It's though it has that type of vibe. And so I didn't, but this is what he's flipping through the channels, and this is what it starts to make me think about. Is like all the channels are kind of like talking about the same thing. So it's one of those. And then, ladies and gentlemen, session 23, Cowboy Bebop. It even on this one, scratch. It was like brain scratch, right? Had a little DJ type of joint when it first started. So again, he's flipping through the channels, and this is like, I thought this was cool, right? It's those like, now mind you, they do have a television, they be making phone calls and stuff, but we're watching what they be watching, right? So here is CBC News, right? Here's their little television. And again, what is the news person talking about? He's talking about the scratch stuff, right? And psh, next channel, channel 145. And you see how it even has that, I think it says insane order scratch, right? So like, oh, those type of, it's of those type of vibes. New World Order. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is scratch? And they're trying to figure out. So that, like, this is what becomes the, again, a cult or religion, whatever, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's these people. And they got a type of people that, like, they all, it look peaceful and this, that, and the third, boom, boom, boom. But they believe in this. And so now, as Spike is flipping through these channels or whatever, okay, things to talk about. The members of Scratch use the brainwave control device. Hold on. And first thing, right? This came out 98. This right here is, they said the members of Scratch use a brainwave control device. This came out, again, this show came out in 98. This is a game device. What do you think that is going to remind you of in 2025? You see what I'm saying? It's the Oculus. This is a game device. Couple things from here. I'm not sure if it mentions it here. It said, which is said to copy the spirit from brain waves as digital data. And then they believe what they're doing will make them exist as a soul without a body. And so I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you this one. But Spike is flipping through the channels, right? He's flipping through the channels, and then he gets to this channel. And now, if you know Faye, one of the things about Faye, right, is like you kind of understand, then you kind of don't. But one of the things about Faye was cryogenetically frozen, right? She was frozen. And so when they defrost her, she doesn't remember who she is, doesn't know her identity, none of that stuff. But they immediately say, oh, you owe us this much money. Then not only that, she starts to trust the one guy who she thought was saving her was her lawyer. He then had a whole conspiracy with his uncle and and all them playing as a doctor and this and that third, boom, boom, boom. And then they actually just convert and they transfer all their debt to her. So like her and money, she don't rock with people and money and this, that, and the third, right? It's like as soon as she woke up, she knew who she was, and then people started scamming her. You know what I'm saying? So so Spike is flipping through the channels and he's like, and so they go to ask her about this and say, yes, I got tired of living a debt-filled life. A lot of people can relate to that because I don't know how old you are, you have debt. It is just like trying to escape this whole, how a country that is so far in debt trying to tell me about my credit. How much? I don't know how much money the U.S. How much money the USA? How much money the U.S. owes the world? And you trying to give me a credit score? You owe like trillions every day. But she says if she rids herself of this body, she'll no longer need money. By releasing the spirit from the body, we are able to discard all desire. Brain dream. This looks, sounds, Oculus, MetaQuest. Right? Right? Now, again, a couple things, conversational pieces here. This, as it just stated, this is the anime, right? This is what the cartoon just stated. The cartoon just stated that what does this device do? Let me go back just for a little bit. What does this device do? They use the brainwave data. Scratch used the brainwave control device. They use the brainwave control device to. They believe that this will make the body them exist as a soul. So, if you can follow what's been going on in the world, if you can follow what's going on in the world right now, Elon, with the whole putting a chip inside of people, if you have not seen a video, there's a video where they like right now they're doing the monkey trials and they're testing it on animals and stuff, right? But they're trying to get the monkey to play the game. And what game is it trying to play? The little ping pong game with the little, you know what I'm saying? It's trying to get, it's trying to see if it can use the brainwave, whatchamacallit, and so that you don't have to, you know what I'm saying, touch your phone. You don't have to grab for this, grab for this. It is like it's certain, like literally happening already. You get what I'm trying to say? Like this is, I remember saying this back in like 2023. And so already, and where is it at now? I'm not sure, but it's like that, right? It's the fact that there are people right now that exist that are already working on these technologies in real life. And again, it was so some one part of it is like, oh yeah, it seems cool, right? And the other part of it is like, well, how do you actually get there to get how do you get to that point? And so it's, I'll say it again. You are a cyborg. The only difference is that the machine part of you is outside of you right now, your phone. Whatever information that you desire to try to access, you'll grab your phone for it, right? You grab your phone. But if that phone was inside of your brain or this and the third, you get what I'm trying to say? If you could just access a chip, isn't that what Elon's working on? A chip that you can put inside of you. And if there's a chip that's inside of you that can just then, I'm trying to, if you look at something, again, we're working on glasses now. These what Apple glasses, Google glasses, whatever. We're working on certain stuff. And so cooked, deep fried. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's already some people. That's what I'm trying to explain so that it's like people who don't know this and third. But yes, the chip already exists. They practicing already. You see what I'm saying? It's like, well, who's going what human is going to be willing to just be like, all right, we got it. We think it might work. And so again, the technology is to, again, one of the things that is the motivation behind this is, for instance, what if you had something inside of you that could ping to the phone so you don't got to touch your phone? You see what I'm saying? Or you can just, all right, just send this. You think about it and the phone would just automatically do it. It thought about it, it does it. You don't got to think, you don't got to touch your phone, grab your phone, those type of things, right? All right, you got to go. We're talking about Cowboy Bebop right now. Partial paralysis. Partial paralysis, and it seemed to help. Help what? Did it help the chip? Did the chip work? Or what would you mean? So again, one of the things was how to harness consciousness. How to harness consciousness. What is it, right? Now, the guy up here in this cartoon that came out in the 90s, he's like, yeah, it's just a matter of electrical brainwave responses. And so this game, I remember I thought, I'm like in 2025, what can we relate this to? The Oculus that actually exists. And it reads that brain data and it converts, it reads the brainwave electron impulses and converts that into data. And so it's like taking that, and then now you exist in this game world. Now you exist in this alternate reality. Now you exist without the body. And so it's saying this show is sitting there kind of is like, it's sitting there talking about certain things like that. That's what's being, and so again, it can fly over your head at one point. Whether you do or don't believe in this and the third, it's up to you, right? And so it's sitting there talking about, again, in the other episode, it was like feng shui. There's the energy from the sun, there's energy from the earth, and there's the energy from the organisms. In this chi, whatever you want to call this and the third, and whether you believe it or not, it's entirely up to you. You see what I'm saying? And so, again, this is what they say to talk about it, and there's much more to say and talk about and unpack. But you see, like, people actually working on some of the things that again, 98, and this is 2025, and these things that are actually being implemented and worked on and done. And one of the, again, there's the show Altered Carbon on Netflix, right? How to escape, whatchamacallit, right? If you don't need the body, right? You don't need the body. So, because the touching, right? The touch, hear, smell, taste, all of that has to come back to the brain, and the brain has to interpret that you just touched something or that you just heard something or whatever, all that stuff. So trying to harness whatever that brain power function is so that you don't need the body, right? And then being able to function without that. Now, I'm not sure if I caught it here, but it does mention something that, and so just in case I didn't actually get that one, it does mention something about muscle and brain, all this other stuff. And without that, and because it also mentions and has the one thing is about you always caving into what your body needs. And so she says it right here. If rid herself of a body, she'll no longer need money. Right? The body electric. Might be something to look into. Reading books. If you want to hide some information, put it in the book. Now, this is on channel 247. So Spike is sitting here scrolling through the TV, and then he's like, he sees Faye, and he's like, Jet. He's like, hold on just a minute. He's like, no. Just come look at this. Somebody come look at this. 22:02 on the timer. Somebody come look at this. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I was wondering where she was. She's on TV. They actually interview her on the TV and it's right there. So boom, right? Faye's there. Faye has joined the cult. She's following a new religion. All right? All right. Now let's keep moving. Oh, but this whole brain dream thing, the new game console, Brain Dream, can read your mind. However, you think that there's the person playing the game right there. Looks like an Oculus. However you sit there, the new game console, Brain Dream, can read your mind. Remember, your brain is just a whole bunch of electrical impulses. You know what I'm saying? Sending off to this, that, and the third. And in other words, a new religious cult. I don't know the difference between the words. You see what I'm saying? It's a blurred line here. Now, let's keep moving. Now, the thing about Faye actually is she ends up. So you know what she is. She's in this room with all these people. All right, brain dream. What's supposed to be like Dreamcast? It's a brain device that you put over your eyes and whatnot. So I'm just relating it to the Oculus, which actually exists, right? It's a game device. Now, Faye is here. That's how close she is, right? Faye is there. And then after this, Faye starts to like walk around. And as she's walking around, she walks into this room and she sees people like on the ground. She sees people on the ground, and then it's like all these TVs, and all the TVs start to cut on, and then she passes out. So like white noise and how that's able to help you go to sleep and stuff like that, right? So all these TVs start to cut on, and then she passes out. So I think, I'm not sure if I ever really captured, but basically the person behind this is the target. The person name is Landis. So who is this person? And they're trying to track this person down. And who is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the target for this episode. Who's the one behind the brain scratch operation, right? Oh, here it is. So yeah, Faye That's Faye. Faye goes to run out, and as she's running out the room, she gets dizzy, and then she passes out. All right. Faye runs out the. She's gonna go to run out the room. She gets dizzy and she passes out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was. I can't show you all of these. I'm gonna show you this one. I can show you this one. So this is where I got a little upset. It's our favorite show. He was like, "I got some news." She all excited. Hurry up and tell me. So he then says, "We've been on the air for a long time now, and I know it's sudden, but this is our final episode." So I'm bringing this one up to also mention that it's one of those, again, though the creators of this show and them, you know, this is like a person in the 90s or what, like a kid or a child in the 90s, like might be watching this and not. So there's one thing to realize, like, oh, like, so you're not going to see this anymore, right? That's one. The other one is knowing that legitimately they've been having issues with whoever it is running whatever the networks and this and the third. So legitimately, they're about to be not having any more shows. This is they know something that we don't know, but they're trying to tell us like, yeah, y'all not gonna be able to watch this too much longer, right? So it's one of them type of joints. But you might think you just watch like back in the 90s, you just think you just watching the show and this and the third, boom, boom, and then you be like, bro, they said this was the last, and then he's like, it just really stopped coming on, bro. It's like you after a while you start wondering like, ain't no more new episodes. Bro, I was doing good. I wasn't. You're not supposed to say episodes. You're supposed to say session. Dang, I was doing really good. Dang. There's no more sessions, and then it's one of those, right? So it's like, yo, they really. It's like in the '90s, you sitting there watching the show, and then after a while, you're like, bro, ain't no new sessions, and he's like, bro, where'd it go? Why don't come on no more? It's one of them type of jumps, right? You don't really know what's going on. Um, they're canning us because low ratings, unfortunately. But it's like they're trying to make a light out of the situation out of a joke, but it's like for real, like they canceled the show. Oh no. I was really upset at this point. Oh, she was like, nah, they talk my agent. I'm like, that's right, Judy. That's right, Judy. But I ain't gonna be able to see her no more. Dang, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboy Bebop. I had to take that one from there. Now what's next? What's here? Oh, okay. So now they're looking for the guy who runs this, right? So Spike goes to see Faye at the actual place, and Jet goes to get one of the game consoles. Brain Dream is pretty rare. I have to line up here if I really want one. So he actually go gets the brain. He go gets the game console. And once they get to the brain console, this is how it starts up. Welcome to Scratch, an electronic transcendence group. So one of the joints is the fact that the game, like the way they kind of think about things is the fact that your brain is, you know, your brain is sending electrical impulses throughout the body, and it's how that's it. Electrical impulses are flowing throughout between all over your body and back to your brain, just all the time, right? So it's about reading those brain waves, the electronical impulses, and again, it was about taking that brain data, that brain wave, and then translating that into data and putting that into this space or whatever. Now, welcome to Scratch, an electronic transcendence group. Transcendence group, right? This is how it starts up. When you put on the brain dream game thing, it says, head straight if you wish to join us. So this is if you want to join, and it has like this whole little menu. Or if you want to learn more, where she says, head over that way to request more detailed information about Scratch, our position and purpose, right? So I just want to capture this little jump. Now, the other part, because it thrown in this pyramid. Now, the other thing, one thing that Jet says, which brings me back to a conversation I had like last month, I think, right? So, uh, Jet says, "Oh, look at this! I have a choice." Now, the reason I bring this up, because he was like, "Oh, I have a choice about whether I want to continue or not," and this and the third. Somebody mentioned this to me, and I don't have an exact name for the concept, but somebody did mention this to me, right? And it literally came back to me when he said, "Oh, I have a choice in this about whether I want to continue and go forward." The person said, "It's up to you." And so karma was mentioned, and it was how this person, and okay, the conversation was, we're going to say, a pack of cigarettes, right? On a pack of cigarettes, it has the disclaimer that this can lead to cancer. You see what I'm saying? It says that. It's not in small print. It is very legible, but it says on a box of cigarettes, this can cause cancer, right? Now, the thing is, so whoever makes this product, right? You buy it, you give them your money, and so the karma isn't on them because they said that this could hurt you, and you still went for it and did it. So that was one of those things I wasn't sure about, the if there's a name for that. And that was something I've mentioned this before, and it just can't, the idea came back to me now. But it's something about that. And my rebuttal, my pushback to that though, is still the fact that you had this intention. You had a certain intention, so there is no you then escape the karma of it. You see what I'm saying? So the person I was talking to was saying that the way that they try to escape the karma for it is that they say, "Hey, listen, there's this right here. It says that it'll cause cancer. So if you decided to whatchamacallit, but my pushback is no, you still had a certain intention behind this creation, regardless of, and then you even then putting that label there was your way of then still doing what? Trying to mask the intention and escape that consequence. And for me, that's why I'm saying, like, my pushback to that is it's still no. You see what I'm saying? It's still a no for me with that. Uh, there's no, it's still escaping that. You still made this and you have it with this intention, knowing whatever. You see what I'm saying? So I wasn't sure the name for that, but that was mentioned before. But again, and so it's something about that though, right? And he was like, well, I have a choice in this. And so the one thing about that is he was like, well, it is one of now, because another part of it though is you having a choice and then you delving and engaging, and it's like, well, you agreed to do this. You didn't have to do this. There was a barrier that said you probably shouldn't, and then you still went on. So whatever consequences that come from, it's you. You know what I'm saying? You are still liable as well. You know what I'm saying? And so there's still, you know what I'm saying, to be objective and, you know what I'm saying, on both sides here. It is still, on the other part of it is, well, you still deserve whatever whatchamacallit, because that doesn't absolve you from the consequences. And then the third, like, you have plenty of enough chances to not engage, to not go forward. So there's that. And that just made me, that was what that mentioned. So they go put some false information in, Marshall Banana. Da 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 da. Enter. No, oh, so hold on. Let me what you call it because I had this one mixed up. Blood, muscle, bone. That's the body. That's physical, right? What if you're not of that? If you dissolve yourself of all of that, now what? What lies beyond heaven, hell, reincarnation? Such things cannot possibly exist. Those are mere excuses. For whatever religious psychosis, I have a shirt that says this: religious psychosis is a mental illness. You see what I'm saying? But it says this, and this is a cartoon saying this stuff. What you decide to believe and choose not to believe in it is really entirely up to you, right? But it says, what lies beyond the physical, heaven, hell, reincarnation, cannot possibly exist. There's still no proof. There's still no proof for either one. You see what I'm saying? Those are mere excuses so that you can cope with how to live. Now, this is he's playing. He has his game, and the game starts to go. It starts to go into a different which one. It's like awaken your spirit, and so he starts to bug out a little bit. No, 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 no. Actually, he doesn't bug out. He actually starts to like type of thing. Like he has it. He has the brain. He has the Oculus looking thing. It's the brain dream. He has it, and he's low key like, right? But of now, one of the things is Spike says, "I don't like dogs." He's not. No, Spike says, "I don't like animals, kids, women with attitude." Why are all three on the ship? You know what I'm saying? And so Edward has had his time, her time. Edward, Edward, the mushroom episode. Edward was able to kind of come through. Ein, remember, Ein comes from session 2. They found Ein. Ein comes from session 2, right? And Ein is supposed to be a data dog. So Ein doesn't like this whole thing. Ein goes up and bites him. And so then that comes up later in the conversation. It's like, yeah, if Ein didn't bite me, you'd be a member of that new religion, right? So there's that. So then I just thought these were cool. They're going to, hack into the system. That's Edward's special ability or skill, whatever here. And so here's just a couple of those, just like getting through this one and this one. One of the things I also say that was like really cool within this scene is, and I posted it as a short so you could see it. It was the fact that, and these are like the small little nuances and different things, but it's like that level of detail. I don't have the fact I posted it already, so I posted it as a short, so you can see it as a short. It's one of the recent shorts, but there are 2 screens, and Edward is looking at a screen, and Jet is looking at a screen, and like what you see is Edward and Jet. Like, okay, like you see Edward, you see his looking at the computer here. And behind Edward is Jet, and he's at a different screen. And both of those screens, like, just moving and updating at the same time. That was just like something I just thought was kind of cool. And that's happening as this session is going, as this part was going on. So what they end up doing now, this time, so instead of Jet putting it on, again, Ein is supposed to be a data dog. And for whatever this and the third is, that's that. So they put the brain dream thing on Ein, and then I'm like, you know what I'm saying? And so they're able to like get into the whatchamacallit. And so let me figure out here. We're getting towards the back end of it. This is just another one of those aesthetics. If you can tell right here, Spike, just walking through. So yeah, he's walking down the hall. Spike is where Faye is, and so apparently Faye is here. These Alley's Valley Hospice. It's a mental hospital. hmm So they go there, and then again, Spike is walking on through, and then he eventually finds that room that Faye is in, and all the TV screens are on and whatnot. So Spike is already here. Spike starts to have this conversation with the screens and whatnot. Remember, Faye passed out in his room. Jet and Edward come here as well because they're gonna go look for everybody, and then they make up this sob story. So I just want to show this, right? So he's like, "You can't come in without any visitors," and this and the third. So they make up a sob story and said Edward has his twin brother and this and the third, and so the cops start crying like, "All right, yeah, you can go." And then on the screen, this is the character and this is the figure for Landis, right? And now, what does it say? They are merely practicing a faith that they decide to believe in. Oh, why do you think people believe in God? They are merely practicing a faith that they decided to believe in. Why do you think people believe in God? It's because they want to. They are merely practicing a faith that they decided to believe in. This, again, conversation, there's a couple things to think about here, right? And this is, why do people believe in God? Just because they want to. They're merely practicing a faith that they decided to believe in. And I think, I could be misquoted here, but I think Nietzsche says, or there's another quote, and it's along the lines of God doesn't exist. And the only reason God does exist is because there's a group of people that believe there is one. But if everybody decided to not believe in God, God doesn't exist. And I think that that's a quote from I think Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. It's a quote, there's something to it, and the reason is if as you sit there and think about it, if there's a group of people that do not believe in God, God doesn't that means God doesn't exist to them. It's just as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. If there's a group of people, they do not believe in any type of God or anything, God then does not exist. So just imagine if everyone in the world did not believe in any type of God, that means God does not exist in this world. The only reason God exists is because you think and you decide to believe in that. If you choose not to believe, then that means God, it's the duality in things, right? Again, what's said here, why do people believe in God? It's because they want to believe in one. Heaven, hell, reincarnation don't possibly exist. They just help you cope with reality. They decided, it's a decision. You decided to believe. If you don't decide to believe, none of that other stuff, none of that shit is true. It's because you want to. It's not easy living in this rotten world. There is nothing certain while living on this world. The uncertainty of things, right? God didn't create humans. Humans created God. I'm just reading the script. 44, 44 on the time. I'm just reading the script. God didn't create humans. Humans created a God, something to believe in. You can, you yourself cannot. There's nothing. You have no proof of whatever you believe in. You want to. You have no proof. You have no proof of whatever you believe in. This is so it's one of those why you always wrestling back and forth between I'm not sure and if you are sure, then you wouldn't do certain things, you wouldn't say and do certain things after. You really not sure. You really constantly go back and forth. But it's kind of hard because it's a cold world. And you need to think you need somehow you need some a reason to cope with certain stuff. I just you see religious psychosis. There is, and again, the other, I studied mathematics. One of the other, you also, one way to prove or disprove it is if you take on the opposite side here and assume that the opposite is true. Can you prove the opposite? Now, of all things, you could say you can't prove that a God created humans, but you can more likely prove that the people on this world just created a mythical physical whatever to they created something to believe in. You can prove that part. You cannot prove the other way. You can prove that humans created something to believe in, a God, and just collectively agree with that. You cannot prove that God created humans. And again, by the same token, you can't prove. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? It's those types of things. Those types of things. It's just ideology, philosophy. We don't have enough of it. So we're getting towards the end. Now he says, "What's wrong? Come on out. An illusion isn't enough for me." Now, what they end up finding out about this guy is that he actually, there was like who he is, his life, his story. This guy, who he is, his life, his story, all fabricated. Every time they actually try to look for him, they actually can't. They're like, we actually don't know where he is. Like they even go into like, bro, they go to look at people who's supposed to have people who were supposed to have had worked with him. Don't know, can't tell you too much nothing. Come to find out, he's not real. And let me do this. Come to find out he's not real. It's a boy who used to be a hacker. And he's a vegetable now. And but his brain, he was able to do certain things, and so it's this whole system selling games and now getting all these other people to believe in this fake whatchamacallit, this, you get what I'm saying? All right, now one of the last little few things also mentioned here, do you know what the greatest and worst invention that humans ever made was? Television. If you want to dream, dream alone. Everyone should have had the same body as me. Oh, the reason I got this one is looking at the screen, right? Again, things that we've talked about before within our philosophy discussion here, going from dimensional analysis. And one of the things, what one of if I have to say that there's a word that has been popping up recently, is peak. 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 Peak anime, peak game, peak technology. It doesn't matter what it is. A lot of people are starting to say that certain things have peaked. It's not getting any better. We're not seeing any great movement towards anything. And like this is one of the reasons I'm starting to look back and say like, what are people talking about? But I was just looking at this one because his face, right? Uh, I know a little bit, not a lot, but somebody. There's a couple things here. Within gaming and rendering and the graphics and stuff like that. For instance, with CGI, some people will look at Transformers as a peak whatever. Like there's a slow motion scene and this and the third and all this whatever, but it's like CGI and they're like, yeah, this is like peak CGI and this and the third. But half of this we ain't getting too much better. It's not gonna get too much better outside of, you know what I'm saying? That. Right. And when Transformers came out, that was what, 15, I don't know how many years ago, right? Over 10 years ago, decade. So but there's another thing somebody was talking about as far as like peak gaming and graphics, gaming graphics. Games you look like boxy like this, and then it's like this, right? Again, because I'm not of the what I'm calling, and I've never like tried to code or certain stuff and doing like graphics. There is somebody did say that in because with how much data and memory and to be able to produce this, the switch great the switch is a great example. The switch 1 and the switch 2, and the fact that the switch 2 is just now being able to play some of the switch 1 games that it's supposed to be able to play it at, right? So I forget what it's called. Whatever this is, I think in a certain numbers, 60, 120, whatever, right? But it was like the difference from for conversational purposes, I'm gonna say six. I'm gonna say because like with frames per second, but that's like videography and so. Anyway, there's something with this, and again, I'll point you back to this one, and I forget what numbers is, but let's just say, matter of fact, since I have this, I got three. So the within gaming and graphics and whatchamacallit, right? Let's say this is 30. Let's say this is 60. And let's say this is 120. This is a poor representation for it, but it's of the you probably hopefully you can get the whatchamacallit. It's because it's such a big difference from this one to this one. Okay, matter of fact, I can also bring this one up. Okay. Here. Because mind you, it starts from here. It goes from here to here. The point was, and it started back here. So the point was that within gaming, once you got here and going here, it wasn't this big of a difference. It was bigger, like when you're playing a game, it was you can play it on this one, but if you jump to this, this is a bad representation for it, but this is what they were trying to say with like of why gaming doesn't seem and just how you try to look at like why this game looks so beautiful and why this one is on the third. And again, of the console being able to render what's actually happening and this and the third, one of the things was there was the jump from here to here didn't make it. The resources to run this doesn't make sense, and it makes everything slow down, and the technology is just not they can do it, but just the visual, and this is what I'm saying, this is bad, but the visual between this one and the very next one below it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it was like, when you actually play, like, this is yes, for sure, but when you're actually playing a game, the jump from here to here wasn't that big of a difference. So there was like, that's why it's considered like peak gaming, because there's no reason to continue down making it so whatever, when at the end of the day, you can barely visually tell the difference between the two. And that's all I want to say about that one, right? But let me see. Was there anything? But at this point, they're standing beside his bed, and they're getting into the system. And the system, this is the system like regressing. And he's like, "Yo, what are y'all doing? Stop this!" And so he's been of this other type of world and trying to like basically get people into there, right? But they kind of like shut it down. Error. It's just error. At the end of the error 404, right? But he was just a vegetable, and the character that he made never really existed. So then they're walking. They're like, yeah, all he could do was dream. It was like, this time, have sweet dreams. And then what's this? Uh, it's that like, cause the person that they were looking for this person, but this person, the stories about this person, all that never really existed. It was just a figment of this person's created reality. And so that's what they were really looking for. Does this count as them capturing the target? I think it actually kind of does, right? So this would be like the fourth or fifth time. And what's this last one? Our souls that God has given us. That's weird. I don't know. I feel like it was saying some other stuff, but yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Cowboy Bebop session 23. I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed 22 and 23. I really did enjoy this one. This one had a different vibe, a different aesthetic. And again, this is 98. And, well, if I have a sad part, I'm sad about um, no longer seeing this show. This is no longer going to be there. It's no longer going to be there. 23, 24, 25, 26. 3 more sessions left.